Good morning, good evening, namaste, hola, bonjour, geremeir, tarve, and marapan. This is Namya Joshi, your host for the day. Welcome to episode 72 of the podcast Each One Teach Them, an amazing world of STEM. An inspiring venture, we will be discussing that STEM is part of every day for every kid. We all will be learning together how to build a STEM culture. Well, for today, my guest is Dr. Geeta Dua, who, in her career spanning around 25 years, has interacted with more than 100 teachers and has taught more than 10,000 students. She's a postgraduate teacher in chemistry, a Microsoft Innovative Educator, master trainer in chemistry for upper primary level, and has served as head senior school and member of core committee at Sat Paul Mittal School, Ludhiana, Punjab. It's my honor to have you today, Miss Geeta. How are you doing today?
Hi, Namya. It's an honor to be on your show, and I'm really, really very well today. It's a nice morning, and I'm thoroughly going to, I hope, enjoy interacting with you.
Thank you, ma'am. The feeling is likewise. I would love to know, and I think the audience listening to us would love to know more about you and the work that you've been doing and what are your interests. So, kindly tell the audience about that.
I'm sure you'll be, asking all this with your questions in the due course, but I'll just give a very short introduction of myself. Uh, I've been teaching chemistry to senior secondary schools for good about 25 years, like you said. I'm an avid reader. I'm a very, very enthusiastic explorer and someone who is always on a lookout to try new things and activities. And I just believe in living life to the fullest.
Wow, that's awesome that you love to explore different things and, step out of the comfort zone and, live life to the fullest. Thank you, ma'am, for answering that. I would like to ask you what inspired you to become an academic administrator and educationist, and how did you develop your unique teaching and administrative approach?
Well, Namya, quite early on in life, I realized whatever be your profession, you will always be a teacher. Like my father is a civil engineer and he retired as a professor from the university. So you will always be a teacher, and I have always been a good student and have been helping my friends with their subjects in school, college, and university. I think it came quite naturally to be an educationist, and progression to academic administrator was smooth after a few years into teaching. I'm very observant and a good communicator, and I don't get ruffled easily in tight situations. So I think that came quite handy as an administrator and also as a performer in classroom. Now, as an academic administrator and educationist, the most important skill I feel is to know about the person who is in front of us. I find it's always sensible to ask than to tell. Their story, their strengths and weaknesses makes them quite unique and gives us the insight into how to connect to them. Once that connection is made, then the whole process of transfer of information becomes efficient. I've always tried to focus on the person in front of me and also have been very, very genuinely enthusiastic about them.
I must say that's really stimulating. The educationist inside you was very natural to you. And since you're a good communicator, you were able to interact with people.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I totally agree with the point that the most important skill is to know about the person in front of us.
yeah.
Because if we are having a two-way conversation, we need to first hear their story so that we can build a strong bond and connection. And then the conversation is really light, and then the person feels more comfortable as by talking to you and sharing the experiences. And then you get more insight to, what you could help them with and what things that they lack in and where you could actually play as a leader and a guide.
Yeah, once you know their level, you can take them further up from there, but you have to know where they stand.
Absolutely. Moving on to my next question, can you share a specific memorable experience Were you successfully connected with the student or teacher? And how did it impact their learning or professional development?
See, to pinpoint specific experiences becomes difficult, but yes, teaching in general has been very, very satisfying, and more so when my subject has been chemistry. Chemistry is a tricky subject, but the students love practical work. So during teachings, I always synced most of the curriculum with lab work. They just love to work in lab. That's where they can explore. That's where they can, extend a little bit out of their comfort zone, play about a bit with chemicals. They love to do things with their hands. So working with, Lego building blocks to make them understand the basic of making molecules from atoms, that had always worked wonders in my classroom. Once they understand the basics, it's so easy to build up from there. Similarly, using balloons to show spatial arrangements of atoms leaves them in awe. Once they are interested, it gets easy after that. And this has been very, very popular along with other pedagogical techniques. So much so, my 10th grade students offered me that in 30 minutes class, they will study rapt attention for 15-20 minutes, but remaining time, I will talk with them or listen to them. Being heard is so much more important for them than going through the curriculum. So I always engaged them with activities and at the same time also listening to them. That way, it had been wonderful experience in the classroom. Now I'm sure that had helped them further to extend these teachings in their professional development, because this is something I got it from my teachers. One of my teacher, and that too happened to be my chemistry teacher, he was always very good with listening. And that is where I realized that if somebody hears me out, then at least I can be clear of what exactly I want and what exactly I want from the person in front of me. So that is how, my techniques developed in the classroom.
Absolutely. You threw light upon, teaching being very satisfying a profession to you, and, chemistry being your subject, which I would agree is tricky, but
Yeah, yeah,
I affirm to the fact that students love to do practical work because even when we used to go to the lab, we'd love to explore different chemicals.
yes,
And
yes,
when ma'am used to, create different reactions, that'll basically leave everybody awestruck. And that is exactly the space where we explore, we learn. And
yes,
you shared a lovely example of Lego building, basically, making the molecules from atom or balloons to showcase spatial arrangement of atoms. And that's really great that you give 30 minutes class for dividing it, 15 minutes for study and 15 minutes to listen to the students. They also feel like they have somebody who can listen to them, listen to their thoughts, and
yeah.
if they have to ask something, then you're always there to guide them. So I think listening to some students and having somebody to hear their story is a really good part.
Yeah, you have to give freedom within the boundaries. That is very important. And just because I first thought that I will not be giving you a specific example, but then I just recently got sent a signed copy of book of poems from one of the students, because a lot of students normally reach out and they narrate how you have influenced them, but this one particular student, she sent me a signed copy with a note that I have inspired and motivated her and made her believe in herself and gave her the purpose she seeked. And she has extended her thanks and the acknowledgement for teaching her the importance of never giving up and seeking your highs when you are low. This is what she has written. This is what I have quoted. And this has become quite a cherished memory for me. This is what we look for. It is so satisfying that we have been able to touch life of so many students, and so many students felt that being in our classroom have given them or helped them to see clearly and find the purpose in their life.
Truly. That just reminds me of a quote that a good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself with the lights the way for other people, around her. So, like, exactly that defines you in the best way. Moving on to my next question, I would like to know how has the transition from being an avid reader to a writer and from enrolling in music classes to performing on stage impacted your life and perspective on learning and perseverance?
Well, see, the point is that once you study and then you get into teaching, or so as to say, that becomes your career, it becomes a little all consuming. But here and there, you always realize that there's always something more you want to do. Always something more you want to explore. So, well, presently I am on break from active teaching because of a personal tragedy, but I still help students offline and online with their chemistry related subjects. I've relocated and now I'm looking into learning new skills and doing things differently. Of course, I have been an avid reader, so sliding into writing a book was very, very logical. And I have written the book with a heading Break Your Inertia because quite often I felt that so many things keep on brewing in the mind, but getting them executed requires that first step or breaking that inertia, which is very, very important. And if you sit with yourself and think all the things which are holding you back, then you can always find a workaround or way around to work those problems and move forward. So I always enjoyed listening to music, so and would hum around. Then I thought, why not? And then I enrolled for music classes and re-understood the importance of persistence and practice and what it feels to start from scratch. Being a student, being on the other side, is not very easy when you have been a teacher for a good so many years. I did perform twice on stage. It helped me to take care of being comfortable with myself, not to get affected by the audience. Well, I was never very much affected by the audience because teaching itself in a class is quite a performance. But learning a new skill and performing on the stage is a different story altogether. It gave such a confidence and it was very exciting. Parallel to this, I took up painting. Now, that had never been my forte, but it taught me to work on details and blending. Such an important skill, and of course, patience. Now, I paint on canvas and fabric and give to my near and dear ones, which is so very satisfying. Now, it's always interesting to be a student, to be a lifelong learner. It gives a perspective into pushing yourself beyond your comfort and understand the challenges of being a student and not to forget the joy of being one.
That truly is so, influencing that you wanted always to have something more you wanted to do because people, who have accomplished so much in life, they always have like something that they still haven't done in life that actually, makes them feel that, yeah, I've done something that actually makes me feel happy. And you did that by learning new skills like the book that you mentioned about breaking your inertia that requires the first step that you need
Yeah,
to keep on
yeah,
moving forward in life, just never stop even if you have problems. You need to learn from how to face those problems and then move forward by bringing up good solutions and never be just stuck at one point
yeah,
because
yeah.
life is just about keep on stepping, just don't stop at one standstill.
Yes, yes,
Absolutely. And like you mentioned that you enjoyed music and that's exactly how you enrolled into music classes. And it made you feel like what it is like to start from scratch. And it gave you the
really.
perspective on learning and perseverance. Never were affected by the audience because you had students like us as the audience. And like
Yes,
also
yes,
painting. I'd say I also love to do painting, even though I'm not too good at it. But I think it just helps me to express my emotions if I am feeling something like bright and vibrant, I'll use different kinds of colors to make something
yes,
out of it.
yes,
So it's
yes,
basically
yes.
expressing yourself on a piece of canvas or a piece of paper, and exactly like you said, work on detail and blending. And when you just keep on trying something new every day and you keep on exploring something new every day, you truly become a lifelong learner. And you just feel like, yeah, I still have a lot to learn and a lot to explore till date.
Yeah, you've been talking about being instigating. Oh, sorry, not instigating. Being incorporating STEM into life, right? Now, STEM is something which prepares you, teaches you lifelong life skills, and helps you to take care of the real life solutions. I mean, living life in the real time. Now, another very important interest which I have pursued is that of traveling. I've always been an enthusiastic traveler. Traveling for me is all in one life skill. You plan, you prepare, and execute. But all the same, you also do the firefighting, that is last minute changes, because life happens. You have to collaborate on communicate and push your limits. That's life in real time, away from safe environment of classroom, offices, and routines. And the confidence it instills is worth it, and so often it translates into taking up new project. So whether we are as a student or we are nearing retirement, I just would request and implore everybody to take up traveling. Once I started traveling, I'm so hooked on it that every chance I get, I just pack up and just leave. So for me, traveling has been one big learning. Different places, different people, different perspective, and you trying to fit in all of those situations, despite you being trained to be in one particular set of belief system.
I cannot agree more. Traveling is my passion too. When we have holidays in during
Yeah.
winter vacation, summer vacations, we've always had this thing, going to the hills. But usually when we're going to different places, like sometimes South India or traveling abroad, so you just have to, think about how to, pack stuff, what kind of things you'd require, which places you will explore. So that helps you to make a vacation checklist of what things you need to research, how you'd be interacting with people, and when you're with people of different cultures. Like recently, I went to Bhutan for for an exchange program.
Yes,
It was
yes,
like
you did.
going without my parents. So for the first time, I was 9 days away from them. That actually helped me to gain more independence, actually being
Yes,
able to do solve my problems on my own. So if I have to,
yes, yes,
get up early in the morning, I get up on my own. And like I get up like 1 hour before people because I used to go outside and play basketball as well because it was like serene mountains and watching everything. So yeah,
yeah,
like gave me more confidence to interact with people of different cultures and explore what it is like, living without your parents. It was truly a
yes,
wonderful experience, and I can totally relate to what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. Well, I can still talk about further on, exploring yourself. It's very, very important. But I'm sure I would like you to continue with your question.
Sure, thank you so much. So I have a fun question for you. What is your favorite dish?
Oh, my favorite dish. Well, I am a foodie, and I'll honestly share. Well, it's not favorite dish. It's a favorite group of things. I like all things which are sweet and creamy, and my go-to, food is that bread and layered with malai or cream and sprinkled, uh, well, sprinkled quite much with sugar. And that is my basic food. So I like all the cakes, pastries, and my favorite this flavor is vanilla. So vanilla Swiss rolls are my, it's not a dish, it's a snack, but that's kind of my go-to thing.
It's 9 in the morning and I'm already feeling like having
Oh
something
yes,
sweet
you've
because I
made me
have a sweet tooth
hungry
too.
for it too.
And I
Yes.
don't think my mom will allow that, but okay, sometime in the afternoon, I guess. Thank you for answering
Yeah.
that. So, moving on to my next question for you, can you share some insights on the importance of maintaining physical health and social connections as one ages? and how these practices have positively affected your life.
Uh, I'll share my present situation with you. I'm staying in a setup where I am also in close contact with my children, and at the same time, I am also living with my parents. Now, I am in a phase where I see how fast the present generation is working with respect to social media and internet and Wi-Fi, and how difficult it is for my parents to actually not use physical currency all the time and always carrying the physical cash, and not always doing everything digitally, also trying to do the same thing on page and paper and pen. So I am at a stage where I can understand how difficult it is for the generation which is a little far off from the present setup to align with what is happening, and it is happening so fast. So it's very, very important to stay at par with the latest technology, because so many apps which have been created online makes our daily day-to-day life very easy. There's Google to know everything. There are Google Maps to take you from one place to other. There are Airbnbs, banking apps, online shopping apps, health trackers. So I keep on, engaging my parents to be much more well versed with these apps, because I know if you have a cab app like, let's say, an Uber or an Ola app, it becomes so easy for them to be able to go anywhere. They don't have to wait for somebody else to take them. Similarly, they can have the sharing on Google Maps. I mean, you can understand, you are aware, because the younger generation is using them so often. So it's very important to stay at par with the latest technology, so that we are in sync with the present generation, so that whatever they're talking about makes sense. Words like FOMO, it took me quite a time to make my parents understand what that exactly is, so that they can understand the way, the language, and the way the younger generation talks, and they don't feel lost. So I'm very much in favor of, being in sync with what the present life, our present generation and present technology brings to us. And at the same time, the life is futile if you don't have the strength to enjoy it. So one must look after maintaining physical health as a priority. I go for yoga in the morning and walks in the evening. It not only helps me physically, but also connects me socially with all other people. Human interactions are so very important to feel alive and keep age related diseases at bay. Even gossiping is so interesting, and it keeps, tangling your neurons in mind. And of course, new neurons are generated because you are getting so many different perspectives of the same situation. And listening to other people always broadens your perspective. So it's very, very important to be in sync with the latest technology, and at the same time looking after your health.
It is important to be in sync with today's life that we are going through, different things that are coming up and different technologies that are coming up. And today's generation is quite fast working, as they're in sync with social media, with technology, with lots of
Yeah,
things that are burdening them. But similarly, if it comes to the previous generation, they find it quite difficult to cope up. So
yeah,
that's why it's really important to stay in par with the latest technology, like you mentioned, Google Health Tracker, Uber, Google Maps, which
yeah,
are very helpful. So if we're able to know about such facilities, they can make our life quite easier. It reminded me of a poem that we read in Punjabi. It's called Samay Din Al Chalna. That means you need
yes, yes,
keep on going ahead with the things that are coming in your life and accept them, and just not have that old age thinking that we'll just do the things our way. But now we need to adapt to new environments to make ourselves comfortable and to make our life easy as well. And of course, like you mentioned, enjoy it to the fullest, taking care of your physical health by doing walk or yoga that helps you make social connections, and also new neurons by listening to new perspectives. So, what advice would you give to someone who is hesitant to step out of their comfort zone to try something new?
well, it's easy to be preachy, but I'll give my example. But before that, it's very important to understand that as we age, there are belief systems. There are certain things society says, oh, now you have, coming of an age, there are certain things you should not try, or there are certain things you should not do. No, it's not like that. As we age, it's easy to slide into allied professions, like going into consulting. But I suggest that change the course of your life by taking up something you never did or wanted to do, or maybe you never got around it. Definition of life now needs to be more qualitative than quantitative. But this shift takes quite a while to accomplish. But new skill means new neurons, and this means you're making yourself safe from diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia. It's really needed that one must be a lifelong learner. You need to put yourself out there, break the barriers your belief system has created, and live fully. Just to give you an example, I've done most of my things after an age of 55. I'm around 56 now. Among the other things which I do, I enjoy adrenaline rush. I did skydiving to mark my 55th birthday, and the same year I did 16 kilometers rafting in Ganges. I've also done scuba diving, parasailing, of course, learned swimming after 50th year, did desert safari, paragliding, and night kayaking. I have hiked many passes like Jalsu Pass, Kareri Lake, and I've stayed at a night at Lahesh Caves, which is at an altitude of 3,500 feet. I have done the road trips in difficult terrains of Leh Ladakh. I mean, done the Khardungla Pass, done the Changla Pass, so many other passes, and done Leh Ladakh twice, Lahore Spiti, and have done other various pleasurable, easy road trips like Golden Triangle in Rajasthan, Kashmir, taken various international tours. Now, why I'm saying all this, once you put your mind to it, then you can do it. You have to understand that it's your life. Do whatever you want to do. Everything is doable once you put your mind to it. That is important. Change your belief system, change your thought pattern, and you will be able to do everything you intend to do. Well, I think that's quite it.
That indeed is persuading that if you put your mind to do it, you can do it. And
Yeah.
we need to change the course of our life by doing something that we have never done. And of
Yes.
course, the quality over the quantity is very important. You need to do something every day to feel productive, like you mentioned about scuba diving, or paragliding, night kayaking, road trips to difficult destinations or simple destinations. You know, they basically actually make you feel like you've done something that you love to enjoy. And like one day you just sit back and explore your diary where you've written all of these things, or explore the images. You feel like, yeah, that was such a
Yeah,
wonderful place that I
yeah, yeah,
explored, and
yeah.
I wish I could go there again someday. So
Yes.
actually gives you feeling of accomplishment as well.
And like the way you asked, which is my favorite dish, I wish you would have asked which is my favorite place. Till
Please
date,
do tell me.
I can visualize my drive through Baralacha Pass full of snow, and I have done that twice. It's a very, very difficult train. I've done it as a road trip in a small car, not even a 4x4, in Centro, which is a small car.
Oh,
And it is one of my most memorable journeys. And in that journey, we encountered difficulties, we were able to overcome it. And there were so many situations, the weather conditions, the terrain conditions, the dirt road. But by God's grace and by having the ability to have faith in ourselves, we were able to sail through everything. People actually stopped in their tracks to see a small car passing through deep, sort of, so to as to say, trenches covered with water gushing around. But we were able to do it. It was only because once you take that first step, you will always and always reach your destination. Of course, you have to be sensible, careful. listen to the locals, but then once you start a journey with good intent, you will finish it.
Of course, when you take that first step and you're already up there, you'll never look back again.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geeta. So, we'd love to know where we can find you online if the audience would love to connect with you, and I'm sure they'd love to. And we would love to also have a message from your side to the audience listening to us right now.
Well, I think I've repeated it quite many times during the discussion only. It is simple. Be a lifelong learner. Put yourself out there. Break the barriers your belief system has created, and live fully. You have got only one life, and more than that, you have got only once. You are going to get this second, this minute, this hour, this day. Make the most of it, not because somebody else wants you, because you want it for yourself. Look after yourself. Your health is very, very important, not only physical, mental, emotional, as well as spiritual. Thank you. Now, I can be found at my email ID is geetadua67@gmail.com, all small. And I do have an Instagram handle. I use it occasionally. It is geeta.dua.52. So you can reach me there also. But then, of course, email, and my Facebook goes by Geeta Dua.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geeta. And listening to you today has reminded me of this thing that the purpose of life, after all, is to live it, to taste the experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience.
Yes, that is there.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much, Namya. It was pleasure talking to you. And, well, I'm sure you'll do wonders because you are the one who has always been breaking the barriers and venturing into new, nicer, and tougher things. Good luck to
Thank you
you.
so much, ma'am. It was lovely talking to you, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and listening to this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, each one, teach 10. Have a nice day.
Thank you.